It's the Commanders, the head coach, Jonathan Gannon, on Josh Dobbs' performance. Now on the right to the guest line is our buddy Howard Balzer. How we doing, Howard?
Pretty good, guys. How you doing?
Good. Did you agree with Coach Gannon that Dobbs had a pretty solid performance?
I don't know if I would call it solid. I would call it, I would call it. Oh, I don't even know what word we really to call it. I thought it was a struggle. Certainly, it wasn't only him, obviously, because of a lot of issues going against a pretty good front. But I don't know that we could have expected much more. Yeah. I mean, as what I wrote on GoPHNX.com was that it was a struggle, but it's unfair to put it on him because it was the team that put him in that position to play in that game. And of course, the turnovers late. The thing that got me was after the game when Gannon said, "Well, you had the 2 turnovers, but those things happen." Well, yeah, they happen, but quarterbacks that do that too often don't keep their jobs. So I think it'll be real interesting to see what happens on Sunday when they play the Giants.
And I think, Howard, I think you alluded to this. The only time I thought he looked comfortable or, in a semblance was that second quarter. I had a couple nice drives, had some rollouts, had some throws. But I'm like you. I mean, what'd you expect? I mean, you come in, you only got 2 weeks. Even though you know the system, you still got to get that to follow through in reference with the guys that you have out there. But my question for you is if they're going to rely on James Conner, which they preached, he only touched the ball, 19, 20 times. And now he's nicked and dinged up a little bit. So if they're going to rely on Conner, can he carry that load for 17 games until, I guess, Josh Dobbs gets up to speed and we see more production from the quarterback position?
Well, even if he's up to speed, you still need a healthy James Conner. Yeah. And this is what happened the last couple of years with James Conner is that he would have. I mean, last year I'm trying to remember, he missed 3 or 4 games. There were another 2 games that he left early, and they really didn't protect themselves. They didn't protect themselves at that position going into the season. And so, you've got an issue there. Keontae Ingram comes in, and his first 4 carries were minus yardage. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to put that all on him, certainly. I mean, that's a very good defensive front, but still, they just had overall way too many. They had 14 minus yardage plays in that game, and they only ran 58 plays. So that's just way too much. And, and even, the drive that opened the second half was actually a pretty good drive. But they ended up kicking a field goal because the drive bogged down in the red zone. And after that, the 4 next possessions totaled 35 yards on 23 plays. And you had the 2 turnovers in there and 2 of the 3 and outs in there. The total yardage in those possessions was minus yardage. So you just got to play better football on offense. And certainly some of it's on the line, some of it's on a lot of different things. But, we'll see. You just hope for improvement. The one thing you alluded to, which Josh Dobbs talked about yesterday, is that, this is the first time in the game that he's throwing routes to play to his teammates at full speed. And because you no matter what you're doing in practice, it's not anywhere close to what a game is. And so hopefully what happened last week, he will improve on that. But you certainly need a healthy, James Conner, because if he goes out, what's happened in the past a lot of times, he's gone out there in the game a little bit nicked, and then he just gets injured more. And so that's certainly a concern.
Howard Balzer is our guest. Rockin' Minutes with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910 on the right Toyota guest line. Howard, what we saw from the Giants, the debacle that the Cowboys put on them, a 40 burger, that's not going to be the case this coming Sunday. What do you expect out of the Giants in the game against the Cardinals?
Well, yeah, I think there's no way that you would expect it to be like it was. And that game got out of hand very early, and it took them out of what they want to be as a team, which is essentially running the ball with Saquon Barkley and then, being able to mix it up. And they were behind so quickly, and it all went, on the first possession. They drove right down the field on the first possession and got to the 8-yard line, and then they had a false start and a fumble, pushed them back to the 27, and then, of course, they had a 45-yard field goal blocked and returned for a touchdown. So it went bad quickly for them, and you can't expect that it'll be, the same in this game. So it'll be up to the Cardinals. The defense did a very good job against not a very good offense. We have to put that in perspective, but they did a good job against the Commanders' offense and limited them to just, they're 9th in the league right now on first down yardage at about 3.4 yards per play. And so that will be the key for this defense, is to get in those passing situations where you can get some pressure on Daniel Jones, but that means stopping Saquon Barkley and that offense on first down. And we'll see if they're capable of doing that again.
Howard, I know it's only one game, but we've had a long off season to talk about what we were going to maybe see in game one. Is this team better, worse, or where you thought they would be after week one?
I thought, I thought the defense was probably a little bit better than we all expected. And they got a pass rush and those things, but I thought the Commanders might run the ball a little bit more, but they were playing with an inexperienced quarterback too, and Sam Howell. He had one start, the last game of last season as a rookie. And so I think, again, you always have to look at
3 minutes
and all those things. So yes, you're enthused a little bit by how the defense played, but you have to see if you're going to be able to, continue that. Offensively, I don't know, what do we all expect? Would it have been better with Colt McCoy if he was still there? Certainly maybe marginally, maybe he doesn't turn it over, a couple of times, but you really couldn't expect very much when the team decided to, move on from McCoy and then start Joshua Dobbs to start the season. And so that's on the team in terms of the way they plan that. So I think this is probably what you would have expected from them, and yet they still had a chance to win. If they don't have the turnovers, who knows? Who knows what happens in the game? But then again, the NFL guys, it's usually close games. It was a 4-point loss. Easily could have been a 1 if they had made the plays when they have to, and that's the story of the league. The close games that there are in the fourth quarter is making the
2 minutes
that helps you win, and they weren't able to do that on Sunday. And we'll see if they get a little bit better at it. But I think this team pretty much is probably close to what we expected, and hopefully the defense will continue that, that aggressiveness they play with, and they'll be able to do that though against teams that are much better on offense than Washington.
What do you got working on GoPHNX.com?
Well, I had a story up there the other day on what we learned, and then looking forward, we'll have something coming up in the next day or so with a look ahead to this game and what the challenges will be for the Cardinals, a team that, by the way, they haven't won a game at home on a Sunday since October 24th of 2021, when they went 7-0, when they beat the Texans to get to 7-0. And they've only had one home win since then.
1 minute, 1 minute
at home. And of course, the one win was that game against New Orleans on Thursday night last season. But I'll tell you, I looked at those 12 home losses. 8 of them are one-score games. And that's the difference in the NFL. You have to figure out a way to make the plays that help you win those one-score games rather than lose them. And I'll tell you real quick, I asked a couple guys today, my media cohorts, I said, I'm going to ask you, how many one-score games do you think there were in the NFL last year? Just a percentage. And what somebody guessed 25%, somebody guessed 40%. There's actually 57% of the games in the NFL last year were one-score games. And how about this? 75% of the games were one-score games at some point in the fourth quarter. That's what separates teams in this league. And the good teams find a way to win most of them. The Giants, by the way, guys, were 8-4. Listen to this comparison. The Giants last year were 8-4 in one-score games. They finished 9-7-1, which isn't exactly a great record, but it got them in the postseason. It got Brian Daboll Coach of the Year. The Cardinals were 2-6 in one-score games, and that basically got Cliff Kingsbury fired.
Awesome stuff there, Howard. Appreciate you, buddy. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. You too. Take care.
Good stuff from Howard Balzer. Follow him on Twitter at hbalzer721. Yeah, protect the nest, huh? Really?
That was an incredible stat.
That's amazing.
Incredible stat.
That's
amazing.
They got to get rid of that moniker. No more protect the nest.
I know.
Hey, this is pretty interesting from the Giants. We talk about, I'm going to try to one-up Howard, which is hard to do when it comes to those kind of stats.